Wysteria, energy, twister. Welcome everyone back to my channel and to a complete new chapter. And we're going to look at what I always love to look at and read about and learn about. We're going to look at a dictionary of actual fairies or fairy stories. And I'm not talking about Tinkerbell, okay? I'm talking about the Fae. The actual Fae. So we're going to start right from A, guys. And we're going to learn about the Fae. I love the Fae so much. You shouldn't really love the Fae, I'll tell you why, but they can be sneaky. Don't ever trade with the Fae. Okay, it's not a good idea unless you know what you're doing, because they can be pesky. They can cause problems. They're not all tiny like people think. They are not all pretty little human beings with wings. Okay, no. That's not the Fae at all. It's not. But anyway, Adventures of Con La. The oldest Irish story that depicts a fairy is the Eistre Condla, or Adventures of Connla, likely written in the 9th century, but probably dating back in oral tales several centuries earlier. This story tells the tale of the king's son, Connla, who is approached by a woman from Fairy, as he and his father, along with a group of men, are standing on a hill. No one else can see the woman except Connla, who begins talking to her. She tells him that she has come from Fairy Hill and that her people are the fairy people, Fae people. She then begins wooing Connla, trying to convince him to go with her back to her home, while his father and his father's druid fight to keep him from leaving. For a month, he lives on nothing but a fairy apple that the mysterious woman has given him before she returns and chooses to leave with her. This story is important for its very early depiction of fairies in general in Irish mythology. It demonstrates several ideas that are still found over 1,000 years later in fairy lore. The danger of eating fairy food, the invisibility of fairies to some and not others, and the places that they may live. So, we're going to go into the next now. Elf. The word elf, plural elfe, comes from Old English and is the root of our modern word elf. Etymologically, elfe, like the later word elf, is related to a root term from Proto-Indian European, which likely actually means white. It is possible this connection to white relates to the idea of brightness or shining. Unlike our modern view of elves, which have been heavily influenced by popular culture and mass media, elves were a distinct class of supernatural beings. Tracing them back in Old English material, we find that they were likely originally only male, and they appear to be a class of beings seen as seductive and potentially magically dangerous. Hall, in his Elves in Anglo-Saxon England, discusses the use of elfe in compounds combined with geography, giving us sea elfe, mountain elfe, and wood elfe, for example. These beings would represent a cohesive class of spirits broken down into subtypes based on the geography they are connected to. Elfe looked more or less human in the older material, although their physicality could vary from solid to more ephemeral in nature. These originally all-male beings were androgynous in appearance, despite their overt sexuality, and over the centuries, understanding of them slowly shifted into viewing them as male or female, or even mostly female to a degree, that by the late medieval period, the grimoires, which included them, focused mainly on female elfe. Brock and Reswell did that. Even after these beings were viewed as being of both genders, However, their seductiveness and beauty remained a strong factor. Female elfes were often glossed with nymphs, angels, and particularly beautiful human women were called elfes. Hall does suggest, though, that it's possible the switch from all male elfie to elfie of both genders may have it could have relied on the existing belief in the amazing beauty of the male elfie in earlier periods. What they're saying there is it's possible that the earlier elves that were depicted to them may have looked more feminine, even if they weren't, which then led others to believe maybe there is male and female. A variety of all powers were attributed to Elfie, including the ability to cause illness, take cattle, and potentially possess people. The Anglo-Saxon leech books details a variety of cures directed at Elfie, which, when studied, can show the existing beliefs about the abilities of the Elfie. Elfie are said to have a particular power or skill referred to an Elfsweisen, which is a kind of magic roughly equivalent to the Norse practice of sedir. This would denote a kind of magic that can affect people's look, health, and mind. Cures for elf-related disorders indicate use for symptoms of fevers, nightmares, madness, and possession, indicating that elfes were thought to be able to cause these things. Now that is interesting. And elfe, may I just say, in the Old English terms, Aelfe, elfe, elfe. It's pronounced very different now. Now it's just ELF, right? But that's where the ELF comes from, because the original word is AELFE, elfe. So yeah, if anybody didn't know, that's exactly where the word elf probably comes from, apparently. And this is the first part of so many phases that we go through. And like I say, these are not, please do not expect me to be talking about little cute beings with wings. I need you to understand. The Fae are mystical beings, yes, but it's very widely believed they are very, very real, and only certain people can see them. Why that is, we don't know. But anyway, they are not what you think they are, so please do join me for every episode while we look through all the different Fae beings that we could have living amongst us and not even know. Please hit that like, share if you can, and do consider subscribing because it really helps and it's completely free. Thank you so much for listening to this first part of the Encyclopedia of Fae. Many blessings. Wysteria, energy, twister.